Greetings everyone, this is Matt with Wrench with Matt. Today I'm going to do front brakes on my 2017 Toyota Sienna. This includes rotors and pads. I've got all the hardware I need. I'll put a list in the description of the tools that you need for this job. It's pretty straightforward. I started by putting wheel chocks behind the rear wheels. I've also set the parking brake so that once the front wheels are off the ground, it's not going to go anywhere and roll over me. I'm starting with a 21mm tire iron. Socket wrench would work if they're not too terribly tight. So let's get to it. You want to break these loose while it's on the ground. Unless you've got an impact wrench, it's difficult to break them loose while it's up in the air. And these are tight. Very tight. Really tight. Oh my word. All right, let me grab my impact. I don't know if this is strong enough to get it off, but it might be stronger than me. There it goes. Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I won't record that though. On the 2017 Toyota Sienna, you have a lovely little arrow right here that shows you the jack points right behind here. What I'll do is I'll jack it up at this point, and then underneath here, you can just see, I'm going to put my jack stand there, under the back edge of the rear front suspension to hold the van up. Alright, you can see I got my jack stand in place. I put a little piece of plywood on top just to prevent the jack stand from scratching up the underbody there. We do have it undercoated. I don't want to rip the undercoating off or bend anything. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll just repeat these steps, I won't record it. With the front of the vehicle safely jacked up and jack stands, parking brake, wheel chocks, I can take the wheels off. I simply put the lug nuts right back in the holes they came out of, so I don't lose them. Now, brake pads I've got on here, there's still probably 50% life on them, but the rotors get warped. Now you can see the shop I had the last brake job done at left some anti-seize here, so this comes apart nicely. I need to pull the caliper pins out so I can get the caliper brake pads. Then I'll need to pull the caliper bracket. Then the rotor will come right off. Those are, if your rotor is stuck, these are really nice. You run bolts in those holes and it'll push against the hub and pop the rotor off. Now, the last guys that did the brake pads, we got anti-seize here. I'm sure we got anti-seize on the back side, so I don't expect a problem. All right, these caliper pins are 14mm. That's tightening it. Once I break that loose, the rest of it comes out by hand. Now I get the bottom one. I have an impact wrench. I'm using the impact wrench. That one really is that short. Interesting. Top one is also short. Are they the same? They are the same. Okay, these are interchangeable. Those are not what I thought they were. One thing I'm going to do right now is try and compress the brake cylinder. I got a set of channel locks I'll probably use for that later. Alright, this should just swing right out. Very good. I'm going to hook this up here on the spring perch. I think these are 17s. I fully expect to need the impact wrench for that. Confirmed, those are 17s. So for this job you need a 19 lug wrench or impact driver to take the wheels off. You need a 14 to take the nuts off that hold the caliper in place, and then a 17 to take the caliper bracket off. And then the rotor should come right off. Hopefully. Nothing. Time for a different tactic. Take two. Note to self, don't hit your fingers. There's one. Not a good angle down here. Let me try a shorter socket. Shorter socket. That should give me a little better clearance on the bottom of this. Again, don't hit your fingers. Ow. There we go. Top bolt. Bottom bolt. The bracket comes right off. Thank you, Toyota. These are the exact same pieces. Exact same parts. A little less than half the meat left. That's fine. I will reload these. The kit comes with new clips, springs, pads. Of course, I got rotors as well. Here are the new brake pads. The old ones in here. So let's take a quick comparison. All right, on my right here, this looks like it has about 50% left. On the left, probably 25, 30%. It's definitely wearing down. It was time to be done. Make sure we can brake safely. The new kit comes with all the clips, squealers, springs that you need in order to put these back together. These two springs right here help push the brake pads apart to prevent the brake pads from riding should they get stuck up against the rotors. They don't prematurely wear out or torch the rotor. Okay, so here's the finished assembled product. New pads are in, new clips, a new squealer. You do not install the springs that hold the brake pads apart until you've got the caliper on. Otherwise, it'll just push the brake pads right out of this bracket. Okay, in theory, this rotor should just pull right off. I have a hammer to beat on it if it's not loose. But yep, just gotta wiggle it around and she's off. It's as simple as that. I will put anti-seize here, put the new rotor on, put the caliper bracket in place, put the caliper in place, snug everything down, put the springs on the pads, put some anti-seize on the rotor, and then I can put the wheel back on. Step one is going to be to put a little anti-seize on the hub here, keep the brake rotor from freezing in place. You do not need a lot. You do want to cover this entire surface carefully. Might have a little too much in here. You can always take it off with a paper towel. You definitely don't want too much because it'll sling off, get on your brake rotors, and then your brakes don't work so well. Now I went with these rotors. These are from R1 Concepts. They are drilled and slotted because one of the problems this van seems to have is the brake rotors seem to get hot, especially like when we're on a long trip, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you're spending a lot of time on the highway. There's not a lot of braking involved, lots of airflow while you're cruising down the highway at speed. So I'm not sure why that happens, but as you can see by the condition of the brake pads, we were definitely due. Okay, I'm going to try and get the hub here as well, where it sticks out in the middle. Help prevent anything from sticking to it. I am going to wipe around the edge with a paper towel, just in case I got a little too much on there. Get rid of any excess before I put the brake rotor on. Wiped off the edge of this real quick. Just kind of knock the rest of that rust off that outside edge. This is upstate New York where they use lots of road salt. So you end up with lots of rust. All right, rule number one when it comes to brake rotors. Do not touch the braking surface. I got gunk on my hands, but even if my hands were clean, just the oils on your fingers can mess up the surface or your brake pads. Don't touch the inside of the brake pads either. These R1 Concept brake rotors come pre-coated with a really nice ceramic coating that you do not need to clean off. You simply put the brake rotor on as is, and the brake pads will embed themselves right into the rotor and clean off only the surface that is used for braking. That leaves the coating in place everywhere else to protect against rust in a harsh, salty environment like we have here in New York. I'm going to use a plastic bag to hold the rotor, kind of rip it away here. This way I am not touching the rotor at all. And this should go right on. Okay. I'm going to hang on to this just in case I need to hold things in place so I don't touch it. This has nice extra venting here around the center. The stock rotor has the venting here, and of course holes in the middle. So it is fairly comparable. I think the slot might be a little bigger there. It might just be the rust. But that should help promote airflow and keep the brake rotors cool and the brakes working at their best. I've got the caliper bracket. I'm going to put the tiniest bit of anti-seize on the end here because that seems to be exposed. I'm going to hit the last couple of threads there. Again, you don't want too much. You don't want it getting where it's not supposed to be. All right. There's a nice little L here. Close enough to that hole. Did I really get it first shot? I did. That's nothing short of a miracle right there. Oh, I got way too much. This bottle of anti-seize is older than both of my kids. Tiny little bit there on the end. Just the first couple of threads. Again, don't touch the rotor. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's right here. Why can't I get it? I'm going to try the bottom one first. You can see that one better. Got the bottom one. There we go. Okay. I got my ratcheting box end wrench. Just get this tight initially. Just snug with this. And I'll tighten it down with a big wrench. All right. So you can press the calipers. I'm actually going to use the old brake pad. Hopefully my channel locks are big enough. Do your best not to stress the brake line. My channel locks are not big enough. On one way to skin a cat. Let's see what else we got. All right, a little closer view here so you can see how these go. The vent part goes toward the middle. Squeeze these together. Hooks into these holes on the brake pads themselves. One. There's two. All right. Put the caliper on. Let me just put this top one in. And I'll go with just a tiny bit of anti-seize. A tiny bit of anti-seize is what I just got all over my fingers. Just grabbing the bottle. The bottom isn't lining up for some reason. I figure get the top in place, fiddle with the bottom. Bite. Wipe off my hands and figure out what's going on with the bottom one. All right, so where the lower bolt goes in to hold the caliper in place, actually just sticking out a little too far. That where it screws into actually moves in and out. That's the actual pin that slides back and forth. So I just gently pried on it with a pry bar. It slid back in, slid into place, and now we'll tighten everything down. Just snug it up with this. Use the big ratchet to actually tighten it down. And these do not need to be as tight as the caliper bracket bolts. There we go. Tight is tight. All right, final step, and I can button up this side. A little anti-seize on the rotor. Having seen the anti-seize pattern on the old rotor, I know it primarily contacts between all the lug nuts, so I'm going to make sure I get there. And then I'll hit the hub ring here again. Too much there. There we go. All right. I can put the wheel back on, and this side is done. So here's the finished product. I'm going to start on the driver's side. I got everything reassembled. Be sure to re-torque your wheel lug nuts once you've got it on the ground. I was able to turn those, most of them about a quarter of a turn, some of them an eighth of a turn. I want to make sure they're tight, they don't come loose. Loose is bad. I didn't film the passenger side for two reasons. One, it's the same as the driver's side, just a mirror image. And two, my phone got too hot, so it wouldn't record. So we've gone the 500 miles or so for the break-in period on the brakes. They still look absolutely fantastic. There is some extra brake dust This is to be expected. It's a little more aggressive rotor and pad. My recommendation would simply to be take your vehicle through the car wash a little more often. I'd rather have some brake dust that I need to contend with and good, nice, safe brakes that are going to last a long time than it looks great and I have to replace it every 20,000 miles or so. Overall, very happy. Brakes are still super smooth. They still look great. They perform very well. We had to do a couple of hard stops with it. Very happy with the performance. Just need to clean off the wheels a little more often than the brakes that were on there. So I believe this was a good investment. I would definitely do it again. And actually my parents want to do the same thing on their vehicle. So good stuff. Highly recommend it. Links will be down in the description. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.